Meet the new Ohio State offensive play caller, same as the old one. What happens, Birm, when you mash snap judgments and the live show together?
You get snudgments?
You get snudgments. And
Roosters?
I don't know what it is. It's
Snoosters.
It's a fun, casual conversation at Roosters, brought to you by Tansky Power Sports and Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. That is Justin Zwick, Jeremy Birmingham, Bobby Carpenter. I am Austin Ward. And Ohio State knows its opponent. Get Miami in the Cotton Bowl, Bob. And it knows how it's going to approach the offensive play calling, which is not the way they anticipated 2 weeks ago.
I think
maybe they did. I don't know.
I think there may have been inklings and looking at it, trying to understand. Is this
really going to be able to work?
Yeah, I mean, it just, and as you kind of meander through it, I think Ryan said, you take a day by day approach, and you think you can maybe do something. Maybe you're trying it, and it's like, well, let's see. Maybe there's a better path to be able to do this for everybody. And be able to kind of maximize what you're trying to do and have Brian still involved and moving forward with that. I know that's the big news of the day, but it's when you're calling plays, they work through it. And I always looked at it like this. If we were getting into a situation where this time of the game, this spot on the field, and this is the personnel group that we're facing defensively, and I didn't feel like I could probably grab from a bag of 3 or 4 plays what was going to be called
a bucket.
If you will. If that bucket, if I couldn't identify one of those, then we did a really poor job preparing during the week. And it's the same thing I think on the offensive side. If you're ever in a situation okay, it's 3rd and 7, here's where we are in the red zone or whatever it is. All right, when they put this personnel group in, these are probably the 2 or 3 plays, and then against the look of what we're seeing, so.
You got your offensive coaches talking. Yes. All right, so what happens here if this doesn't go? All right, what do we have? What do we want to come back with? And that's what, everybody gave Tress back in our day, Tress calls the plays. And it was more, he basically did, but it was kind of like hey, Bulls, what's the best way to run this? What do you think?
How do we run
practice-wise?
Dave here?
Well, yes. In a way. But it was always this is what we want to do. So even this year with Brian, I'm sure they've had those conversations. All right. If this doesn't go, or if this does get the first down, we're going to go here quick. Really, they're talking through it as they go. So everybody's involved.
Ryan Day was pretty clear 2 weeks ago. He was going to be much more involved in the play calling, the game planning, all that stuff anyway. And I know there's a lot of people who will look at this and say that Brian Hartline, again, he offered Jeremiah Smith's brother a scholarship at South Florida this weekend, which...
Well, he is the head coach at South
Florida.
I know,
that's the hard part, because you might want to just wait a couple weeks to do that, I guess, if you can.
Didn't Ohio State already offer him that?
He's committed to Ohio State.
That's what I thought.
So it's kind of a weird thing to do, but when you talk about it, I know there's going to be a segment of the fan base that will say Brian Hartline's not living up to his obligations. He should be focused on Ohio State. But we talked about this the day Brian.
You're paid by both schools right now. How's that work?
The day that Brian.
No one ever brings
that's not a bad deal.
No one ever brings that up.
Now Kerry Combs has the best deal. He had about 6 days of work.
Well, I don't know if as long as you get all that money.
Well, he's 1.2.
I don't care.
He signed the contract.
You get half of it. You never really had to coach.
You didn't really do anything.
It's kind of the greatest of both worlds. I went there to get paid.
I got a bonus just for going into the state of Michigan. This is great.
Sign my deal, pay me some money, and then I can retreat back home.
All right, fair enough.
We talked about it the day Brian Hartline was announced as the head coach at South Florida, that this had been done in the past with Tom Herman, but life as a college head coach is way different now than it was 12 years ago, way different. So the responsibilities, the things Brian Hartline has to deal with in December now are not anything that Tom Herman ever had to think about 12 years ago. So it makes
what's the
perfect
transfer
sense.
portal?
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense for Ryan Day to do this. He was pretty clear, I thought, on his press conference on Tuesday, or today's Monday, right?
Today's Monday,
yes.
Today's Monday. That's when we do the live show.
I don't think he wants to do it because he was pretty clear about how much he sees the field and sees the game differently when he's not calling plays, but it's kind of one of those begrudgingly.
You got to look at your card.
You got to begrudgingly do it. So here it is.
Yeah, that's what I asked, how much reluctance there was, and he took one of those Ryan Day pauses where it's like, is that the ideal scenario? Is that what he was hoping was going to happen in the college football playoff? No, but that's the situation.
But isn't there an inkling of that kind of happened last year? He never came out and said, "Hey, I'm taking over play calling," but didn't we always kind of feel like
he took over more?
It looked a little different.
He took over more influence. My understanding, I'm not in the room, but the game planning that he was more involved once you got into the college football playoff than he had been throughout the regular season. I think he still trusted Chip Kelly to Bob's point.
That they're on the same page.
Once Ryan Day helped engineer the buckets, which is the way that he views the preparation and the game plan that Ohio State puts together, and this is the bucket for 3rd and 5, this is the bucket for 4th and short, this is the bucket for 14 personnel. as much as you want to use that.
Big bucket.
No,
You know,
big bucket.
Then trusting Chip Kelly that he could make a lot of those calls. But that's the way that I understood it, Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Bob, I don't know if you
Yeah.
disagree with some of that, but that was going to happen this offseason or
regardless.
this postseason no matter what.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all part of it. I don't
It's just a
This is-
headline
I
right
think
now.
this
Like,
is-
oh, Brian Harlan not
It
calling
Well, I
plays.
think it
you
is
know, like,
significant based on what
It
happened the rest
is.
of the year.
It is, but I think that I don't know if you'll notice a difference
Mhm.
when you're watching the game.
Well, because Ryan did say also on Monday, like every play call all year long.
I have the
it
video.
goes through veto.
So, when you talk about Tress being the play caller,
Yeah.
I mean, Tress is the play caller because if Bowman says Dave Wright and Tress wants Dave
Yeah,
left, then
no,
it's
hold
going to
on.
be Dave
If
left.
Bowles is like, hey, we're going to go take a shot here, and then Tress has to reel him back in.
No,
No,
it's,
it's just run
it's time
Dave.
for Dave.
It's 3rd and 7.
That's
It's time for Dave.
That was funny. At Mangold's funeral, one of our offensive linemen got really skinny, and Tress was like, Jay-Z, we couldn't run Dave with this. And I looked at him and I said, but you try, coach. And he goes, you're probably right.
Still
we
thinking
try.
about it.
We still try. 3rd and 7. Let's go.
Yeah.
Time to sign. They wouldn't be expecting. We're going to
Yeah, don't expect it. Exactly.
Get to a 4th and short.
and
And then run Dave the other way.
This is no joke.
And then put
He would-
Teddy at tight
I go,
end.
what are we
Yeah.
doing? Like, as a defensive guy, I'm like, can we at least try? Pretend like we're trying to get the first down.
Yeah.
And he goes, Bobby, that's just 6 yards added to the punt. I'm like,
Yep.
is that really what we're looking at? Is that how we're framing how you're
most important play
So
in
if we have
football.
a 43 net plus the 6 we got on that,
That's big
that
time.
Dave they didn't expect because they gave you 6 yards because you needed 10. So now we're at a net of 49. I'm
yeah.
like,
Flipping the field.
that is the logic. I mean, I get it, but it felt a little
We
flawed.
won,
now
won-
you-
won a lot of football games that
And
way.
now
but
you know
yes.
why he's a politician.
Oh, gosh. So speaking of politics, the way the game was structured as far as where we would be playing, who we would potentially be playing, I did not foresee Miami. Thought it would be a good game. I did not foresee Mario Cristobal putting together a coherent enough game plan.
Did he, though?
Well, I mean, they missed some
Enough.
field goals, but I'm not going to put that on him. I think those were the right call. The poor dude, there's a 20-mile wind,
That
then it
wind was-
dies when he goes to kick one of them. I'm like, well, that got no fade on it. The poor guy's like, we'll play this right to left here, and then it just stopped, and he hits the post.
I know that feeling.
It had
I've
a
seen
little bit.
Jay-Z
It had a
pull
little
it.
bit of.
Yeah.
It had a little bit
On
of.
the golf course.
Wow, I feel bad for the guy in the McAfee in the pregame. Like
Oh.
now that we knew how bad the wind was, but it had a little bit of like an Ohio State, Michigan 2024 feel where it was kind of a slugfest, kind of gross.
Yeah.
Um,
Or even, I don't know, the Big Ten championship game.
well, I like to bring in the wind element because
Okay.
that I'll say
weather.
maybe that was part of the weather with some of the special teams miscues and mishaps. But I told somebody if you're telling me we're going to play Miami and Dallas, I'd much rather play Miami and Dallas than Texas A&M and Dallas. I mean,
Or Miami.
If you're going to play Texas A&M, you'd
Not
love
that
that to be in Miami.
I'd play Miami and Miami. I'd
Yeah.
play
Play
whatever.
Miami on campus.
It doesn't matter.
On their campus.
Do you think? I mean, you watched the game, I assume.
Yeah.
I know you.
What an
watched,
assumption.
I know you've watched other Miami games throughout the year. It seemed like they realized maybe they can play a different way than they have all year long. To me, like, and I know it was maybe forced on them because of the win.
Yeah.
But maybe like, wait a second, that's who our identity actually should be.
Just because we paid Carson Beck $4 million
Doesn't mean
Yeah,
we
so
have to
throw it every
You
play.
can't actually trust him to go earn that money.
I think that's actually going to be something that you have to look for now because I
Yeah.
think for Cristobal, like he's probably like, wait a second, this is who I actually want to be
Yeah.
anyway.
He's O-line coach.
So I think that it's going to be much more telling than maybe we thought because a lot of the conversation is, well, the wind, the weather made it an ugly game. I think Miami's like, yes, let's play that game.
But Texas A&M also had given up more, like the 7th most runs of 30 yards or more all season long. They were not a good rush defense.
Yeah.
But they play in the SEC.
But they
Well,
also gave up some.
Kind of.
Well, and they also
Yeah.
give up.
They played
if
the
you go-
bottom half of the
if you go-
SEC this year.
They did. That's
Yeah.
basically all they played
Yeah,
outside
that's
of
all they
Texas.
played. Yeah.
But if you go look, they would also turn loose guys in the secondary occasionally, like
Yeah.
just wide open busts, like dudes out
Mhm.
there, no one around them but God for 10 yards.
Yeah.
So they were capable of giving up the big play, which if you're Miami, and they have Malachi Toney, who I know that you researched. I mean, people maybe don't know him as much in Columbus, Ohio, but he is a
Player.
very explosive athlete, young fella, and can get after it. And so they get him the ball in a multitude of ways, and that end around ended up being it. Heck, he should have had a kickoff or a punt return for a touchdown. It was a hell of a
Yeah.
play
Mhm.
where old boy
gosh,
swiped
yeah,
and
just got him.
the
yeah.
old shoestringer.
Yeah.
the old shoe
just nipped it. I mean, Say all you got to do is get the foot. If you can get the foot to hit the
and
calf.
you know that guy's jumping. You just got to keep those
Yeah.
high knee it there for a couple of yards. He'd have been in the end zone.
So
He was a teammate of Brandon Ennis at American Heritage.
oh really?
Yeah.
They're probably pretty. I bet
They're
they're
probably pretty good then.
pretty prolific attack.
And Mark Fletcher.
Yes, there we go. Fletch, what a great movie. But like Miami, they're really good on all three levels of their defense. Their D line's good, linebackers are good. Secondaries, we saw a couple interceptions. Fitzgerald, he was actually one of my key players in the game. He has 4 picks. A true freshman. He's not like a regular starter, but then they had injuries, got him back in there. He had 2 in the game, for heaven's sake. But I mean, this is every team Ohio State plays from here on out is going to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, coming into that game, we knew their D was good, but coming out of it, do you feel like that could create a problem for this offensive offense?
As I was watching the game, I'm like, man, these defenses look really fast. They're really good. And then I started thinking, like, about the middle of the game, like, no one is taking shots down the field. And so you're basically playing you're basically playing in the red zone the whole time. Like, if you're not pushing it.
So the wind was basically your 13th defender or 12th defender.
But when
I don't
Texas
even think it
A&M
was the
did, they had guys wide open down the field, and Marcel Reed just couldn't throw them the
I
ball.
think it's that Reed and Beck just are, and that's been
very average.
the trend throughout the year. They're not dynamic game changers in quarterback, and so that's the problem. I think I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. It's that pessimistic, nervous Birm has already arrived. A week and a half before we get to Texas, so that's why he's looking at Mark Fletcher. He's looking at the big plays.
I was getting a little nervous too.
Well, that's going
I'm just saying.
On the way down.
I still don't think
I
you
don't
can just
think-
line
I
up
mean,
and
they
run
are-
the football at Ohio State.
I think it's still a matchup that it's the worst of the 2 matchups from that game for Ohio State. That's
Really?
my opinion. Yeah, I thought Texas.
Well, if they
A&M
play their game, I think you said it last week. Like if
If
Miami
Miami
plays their
plays
A
their
game,
best.
they're better than the Texas A&M A
Yeah.
game.
and they now's the time of year. Maybe you find what you're looking for. You get a little momentum. They came out of that game talking some trash, feeling good about themselves.
Michael Irvin, super
They
excited.
saw Indiana's defense go against Ohio State and give them some trouble.
They're going to see a path there.
They
Of how
probably
you
think they're
can
better.
defend Ohio State. I think that there's plenty of reason Ohio State fans shouldn't look at this game and think it's going to be a cakewalk. Again, you're playing a team that in September was maybe the favorite to win the national championship, and so now they're starting to figure out who they are. And it doesn't matter how you played in middle of October. Now that you got a game at last day of the year.
Yeah, that path, of course, is winding through Arlington, Texas. And if you're looking for your next adventure, head to Tansky Power Sports, your one-stop shop for ATVs, dirt bikes, golf carts, and more. Whether you're looking for speed, power, or versatility, Tansky Power Sports has something for everyone. With the best brands and expert service, visit Tansky Power Sports today at 2491 West Dublin Granville Road or browse their huge selection online at TanskyPowersports.com. Tansky Power Sports, where the adventure begins. So as it continues for the Buckeyes, Bob, it seems like you were pushing back a little bit on this notion that Miami was the worst matchup out of the 2. I think they were pretty similar. That's my take.
I think A&M is a more consistent team. You would have known what you were going to get from them. I think that was probably Apex Miami, what you saw on Saturday at noon. Do they get there again? And I think Texas A&M's defense is really good. They've got a lot of talent. I still think they're probably a year away from where Elko would like to be. I just look at how they play. They run the ball and they have Malachi Tony. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
If they want to drop back and let Carson Beck go, go ahead.
Matt
He'll make
Patricia
some
would
plays,
very
but
much
yeah,
like
he'll
to see that.
Yes.
I don't think. I mean, and I'll wear the coat of resident pessimist for this episode, but I don't.
None of us ever wear that coat. You're the only one who owns it.
It is not it's not a Miami team where you
It's
look
tailored.
at it and you think that they're going to score 34 points on
Yeah.
Ohio State. It's can Ohio State, with the way that the offense has been this year, the inconsistencies, the inability to punch it in the red zone, can the Buckeyes put together 4 or 5 possessions where they actually follow through and finish? And Miami's defense is going to make that real, real difficult. Like I think Texas A&M in the secondary is better than Miami, but the other part of the defense is not even close. And so, I don't think either of them, from an offensive standpoint, were going to be a major challenge for Ohio State.
Are you worried about the offensive line?
I would say that would be concern number 1, yeah, because it's impossible. And I thought Julian Sain actually shed a lot of light on things on Monday during his CFP-mandated presser. Like, he acknowledged that he needs to get rid of the ball faster. He was very, very comfortable early against Indiana, holding onto the ball for a long time, and then it all snowballed real quick. So I'm curious how he handles that. But, yeah, I mean, the offensive line, the Buckeyes' inability to establish the run against Texas, because that's where, when you're looking at matchups, that's what I think Miami is closest to defensively. Texas and Miami are as close as anybody Ohio State's going to play defensively all year long. So the Buckeyes had, 70 yards rushing in that game? They scored 14 points. They had 200 total yards of offense. Then you play the Indiana game, and that's the second best defense Ohio State played, and you had 250 yards of offense, and you scored 10 points. Like, those are there. He scored 10 points against Michigan a year ago. Like, I don't think that this offense should be something where we just assume that they're going to go out and score 35 points. It's not, if not this team. It hasn't been all year.
Yeah, I don't even know if they've tried to really do that.
I know, but now is it too late to just say now we're gonna?
That's kind of been the
if you have
playoffs
Jeremiah
towards
Smith
the end of the year.
And Carnell Tate, maybe it's not.
I mean, trust me. I hope I'm wrong. We've seen enough of this team to know, maybe this is just who this team is.
One of the things that the rushing attack, I would push back on against Texas is that was before they were playing Bo Jackson.
See, sure, that was PB.
Yes, and so since he's
And that was a game where Texas didn't necessarily have to worry about Julian that much either. I mean, they really protected him, I think, and that adds to another layer of that defense.
Certainly.
So I think,
fair points.
So I think in the red zone issue,
Trying to bring you down.
That's a fun, casual conversation.
And Miami's red zone defense is, I think that was the only category I found where they were outside of the top 20.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's good for us. I mean, they're 30th in that range.
Well, I think even if you put it together, Bob, what Birm's talking about Julian saying getting the ball out of his hands, and we've talked so much about the red zone issues. There was that third down play against Indiana where Bo Jackson is in the flat, loop everything together. Mm-hmm. After Bo Jackson is in the lineup, in the red zone, Julian saying with a chance to maybe just take that quicker check down out in the flat. He talked some about that early on Monday as well. You can put all these things together. They just didn't execute in really one game. Where everywhere else, even if they weren't trying to score 35 or 42 points, the efficiency and productivity of the drives was like off the charts.
Oh yeah,
it was two red zones. It wasn't even. I mean, it was two drives. We went right down the field, right?
Yeah.
So I think the guard position with how Gabe played, I think was good. I think that helped. Taggart, they said, is not.
He will not play.
He will not play.
Okay.
He's unavailable. Yeah.
Unavailable for this game. So
and Padilla is
likely the Fiesta Bowl if they make it.
Yeah, Padilla is available.
So we have the two guys who have played there.
Yeah, you've got options. I feel like the rest of the offensive line's played pretty well for the most part this year. Would you agree?
I mean, I don't disagree with that. I just think they haven't faced a group like the Miami group since
Texas.
The Indiana group is a different style, but I mean, it is an equally disruptive front four. Yeah. It is not nearly as physically talented as Texas was or as Miami will be. So.
But they move around and do some different things that Miami's probably not going to do.
Yes.
Well, unless they watch that film and totally revamp their defense and say, all right, this worked for them.
I would imagine that they will. I mean,
the one thing is with that, like
you have your spots by now.
You've got your spots, and you kind of feel like what you're good at. There may be a couple things they'll pluck, but I can't imagine them.
They're not going to throw a bunch of these stuff at these guys and be like,
especially
if it doesn't look good, we're going to get burned really bad on this.
Yeah, if they don't trust their secondary,
exactly.
If the corners are a weak spot, are you going to start dialing up a bunch of blitzes to play one-on-one on Jeremiah and Carnell?
They just trust their four guys to go win.
And
that's essentially what Indiana did for 3/4 of that game.
They moved around a lot, though. I don't know if Miami is
a lot of free runners, a lot of linebacker blitzes, stuff like that. I mean, if you go back now we're just really digging into the archives, but go back to like the old Wisconsin defense under Jim Leonard.
Yeah.
That was all they did, right?
Yeah.
Like you just get a free runner, you cut a linebacker loose and hope the quarterback is able to read it quick enough. Mm-hmm. And that the last couple games against like for like opponents in the trenches have been it's not something where an Ohio State fan should be able to sit there and go, oh yeah, we kicked their ass, we're going to dominate this game. I don't see that happening. I'm not saying Ohio State can't win. I'm not saying they won't win. I'm saying right now, like you look at this and it's a strength against a strength, right? It's Miami.
Feel better or worse this time last year?
I mean, going into the Oregon game,
going into the Tennessee game.
Tennessee
first game.
I didn't have any doubt that Tennessee was not any good. I don't think Miami's not good. I think that they have been bad.
Yeah.
I think they've been inconsistent because I think they have horrible leadership and I think their coaching staff is inconsistent. But like their talent is top 5 in the country. That's not really a question.
Okay.
So you put talent together, and then you get some momentum, and all of a sudden you confidence, and then we saw what happened last year at Ohio State.
Oh yeah,
it does feel like he's on edge, doesn't it?
A little bit.
I'm just calling it like I sees it, folks.
Yeah, I don't disagree with a lot of the things. No. The fact that it'll be a probably 80-20 Ohio State crowd, I think, will.
Now, granted, they just went into A&M and
they did.
And they handled it. I mean, it didn't look great, but
it was a noon game. Like I don't know.
11 a.m.
Yeah,
no, 11
a.m.
True, yeah.
I don't know if that
beautiful
game,
11 a.m. playoff.
If that game was at 8 o'clock at night, I don't know if that's the same outcome.
No,
I don't know if you can have the amount of energy in the night. Like just there's so much that goes.
It's
into
different.
The other thing, too, I will say with this, and I was thinking back, they did overcome the crowd. Now, there's kind of workshopping this.
Well, the crowd also got put to sleep by the A&M offense.
And that was my thing. I go, you never gave them a reason to cheer. Like, you've got to give them a reason to do, get on
to
their
get out of
feet
their
a little
seat.
bit. Yeah. I think they call it the Gloria Estefan effect.
Yeah.
You got to give them a reason to get on your feet.
Get on your feet. That's
Yep.
But,
we're really leaning into South Florida vibes.
The rhythm is going to get you.
well,
If Julian Sain can get into a rhythm, he'll get him.
I pitched this to Swags yesterday, and they're talking about how do you get the edge back. They've been off now. It'll be 20 some oddish days, or 25 I think is the number. Last year was 21 or 20.
Yeah,
So
it'd be 25 total days from the Big Ten Championship.
it's similar. And you've got Christmas in there a little bit, so you're coming off. Like, how do you maintain the edge? And I call that the Freebird effect. All right.
Play the hits?
When you're you want to play the hits.
I'm going to need you to explain this.
Well, because Coach,
it's coming.
you're gonna like where
All right, here we go.
You're going to like this ride.
There's no closer point to the edge. Urban always talked about, the edge. You got to get on the edge. You got to find a way to bring this in. And there's a great movie that came out in the mid-'90s by the name of Forrest Gump, starring Tom Hanks.
Okay.
He had a
JC, have you seen that one?
I'm aware.
he had a love interest in that by the name.
The worst person ever.
No, well, maybe. Who knows?
Pam from The Office and Jenny from Forrest Gump. About the
But
two worst women in
when
the
she's-
history of
when
television.
she's laying in
and movies.
that hotel room, and Freebird starts coming in real slow, and she's looking at all the needles and everything, just rummaging around, and she gets up with those platform heels and stands on the edge of that ledge, staring down off. That's the edge right there, where you're not sure whether it'd be better to fall forward or backward. That's the edge that you need to get to. Right there, folks. That's the edge that you need in life.
That's what it takes.
All right? So you got to find a way to get that back.
Gotta be out there.
To simulate the edge.
So
That's one way to get there.
And Freebird's just playing. I don't even know
We're
if
going to
it's playing in
simulate
their head.
heroin usage.
you have described the edge, Bob, but I don't know how you actually find that on the practice field in the Woody. Like, did you get to that solution?
You got to go up in the rafters of the inside of the Woody
Sometimes
Hayes.
you gotta-
Just lean over. I've been up there before.
You got to get Jenny in there. You
just
got
get
to
Jenny.
embrace your inner Jenny.
She definitely
She was a
took,
terrible person.
she definitely took Forrest to the edge
She took
And-
Forrest to the edge.
and beyond, and then into the hospital.
And we have just watched half of the audience run.
They love it.
geez.
Listen, everybody thinks. Then you see she's looking down. There's a little vertigo, or maybe it's the drugs. No one knows. A little blurry
Probably the
lights.
drugs.
Probably the drugs.
Maybe a little both.
She was wilding out.
Do I fall forward? Do I fall back? That's the questions you're
That's
asking
the
yourself.
edge. That's the edge these guys need to be on.
Well, anyway, on Tuesdays you can run
For Roosters?
Forest Run
get to
to
the
Roosters,
edge.
and you can get
Oh yeah.
for $1, $2, $3 on
Yes.
appetizer Tuesday. It's fried
Oh,
pickles.
hold on. It's like a
Well,
little
that one's
ring.
like a donut.
That's like a,
It
it's
is.
like a pickle ring.
snap.
It's like a pickle ring.
Jay-Z's absolute favorite.
These
That
are
is-
the only way I will eat pickles.
it's
Deep
there-
fried at Roosters with some spicy ranch on the side, or the ranch is fine. But the spicy ranch just gives it,
They're a big,
every appetizer, the spicy ranch just gives it that little extra kick.
they're a big deal.
Big deal.
Well done.
Very good.
All right, so that's a lot of Miami talk. Guess what? There's going to be even more of it after we take this quick break on the live show at Roosters, presented by Tansky Power Sports and Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Precision engineering, rigorous attention to detail. A Bryant Evolution heating system is so well designed, it's as much of a joy to install as it is to use.
Good to go.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
To make sure you and your home stay comfortable, contact Federal Elite Heating and Cooling at federalheating.com.
Welcome back into Roosters for the live show. It is a fun, casual conversation at a fun, casual joint. And so aside from all of the Ryan Day conversation on Monday, hearing from the offense, Jeremiah Smith, he has become, and Birm and I said this over the summer,
Talkative?
a truth teller. If you ask a question, he will answer it.
It's like the new Kanye
And that's
West.
good.
Nice.
It's
That's
like
good
Kanye
most
West.
That's good most of the time.
Most of the
But
time.
it does end with saying stuff like, we'll have something for them on New
We've
Year's Eve.
got something for them on New Year's Eve. So he
You
is.
think you got it?
Maybe they got him a gift.
You get it.
That's true.
Yeah,
It's
maybe they
Christmas.
just
Well,
have
he
something
does know
for
a lot
them.
of
It's
I don't know.
Christmas
It's-
spirit.
Is there?
Yeah.
Well, New Year's Eve. That's not traditionally real gift exchange.
Those are his people.
Well,
Isn't
they're
that-
not going to see him until then. It's kind of one of those. It's like you got to travel the week after Christmas.
Isn't that where the drama on the signing day, Birm? I mean, I know you were.
Oh, was it Miami and us?
Yeah.
Oh,
Miami,
yeah. Let's
Well,
go.
I think that's the most.
It'll be Miami again, and whenever the season's over, they'll try again.
Oh, Birm, don't.
I
don't
said
do
they'll
that.
try again.
I think that is a fascinating subplot because Jay-Z, you, Bob, you know something about Ohio State and Miami and the history of these two programs going after it. And then you look at the recent history it's been on the recruiting front. Like, there is
one of the great quarterback performances of all time.
14
in Ohio State history.
And 14 down in Fort Lauderdale?
I think it was 13.
Or was it 13?
No, it was
Joey
like,
Baseball?
It was like 11. It was
Was
the year it was
I
fixed
know.
year.
Is there? Oh, was
It
it?
was fixed year.
I was at that game.
When he was throwing.
I think one of those I could have got a hand on.
Hey, Justin, when they tell you to throw it away, I mean, he was throwing that thing.
I love that.
the
Put it in the
pass chart
stands.
was
All right.
scattered. But you look at the history of these programs, like they haven't played a ton. One of the most famous games in college football history, of course. But then, now it has shifted to the recruiting trail, not just Jeremiah Smith, but going the other direction with some that the Hurricanes have won. Birm, like talk about Mark Fletcher and Justin Scott, and there's a lot of back and forth between Ohio State and Miami here.
I mean, it's not unexpected. It's the most talent-rich area in the country. Ohio State obviously does pretty well in South Florida, always has. So you're going to run into these types of guys. It's just the guys that Miami took back from Ohio State are two defensive linemen from Chicago, who they just bought 2 years ago, Justin Scott and Marquise Lightfoot. And then you have the running backs that Tony Alford had both Mark Fletcher and Jordan Lyle committed for almost a year. And then they both signed with Miami on signing day in their respective classes. So it is what it is. Do you know they're going to have tons of talent? As I already mentioned, Malachi Toney was a teammate of Brandon Ennis. Obviously, Kenyatta Jackson and Jeremiah Smith played at Chaminade Madonna down there. Those are major feeder systems for Miami. So, and of course, the South Florida Express, ties down there.
I feel like you need to slow down.
What is the South Florida
Is that what's his name?
South Florida Express. What is South Florida Express?
Yeah.
It's a runaway train.
Oh.
What was the rapper down there? Luther or something?
Luther
Vandross?
Luther Campbell?
No, Campbell.
Luther Campbell.
Luther Campbell.
No, he's not with South Florida Express.
I thought maybe that was
South
the
Florida
Express.
Express is the 7-on-7 team in South Florida that Jeremiah Smith and Brandon Ennis and Carnell Tate, all those guys are.
Right, Carnell Tate's from Chicago.
He played at the IMG Academy in Florida, however.
Oh, yeah, he went down there for a year.
But Chris Henry Jr. played
Listen,
on South
when he
Florida
went to
Express.
when he went to Chicago, when he went
California.
back to
California.
Northwestern, they played "Homecoming" by Kanye West for him. So I mean, he's a Chicago kid.
But yeah, I mean,
It's great.
When you talk about this rivalry, do you guys feel any obligation to remind anybody when you see Jonathan Vilma, for example, or talk to him? Do you ever do you still feel the need to poke it to jab him, or do you?
Most of the guys, I remember just doing different stuff in the media, and we do these events, and we travel and do stuff, and I always get kind of hooked up. Ironically, oh my gosh, Vernon Carey, who is a friend, offensive lineman who played in that game. He played his whole career in South Florida. From there, went to school there, and then played for the Dolphins.
Oh, wow.
Was down there with Heartline, and he talks about the game and stuff. And I've traveled with him. We do these Super Bowl tours with the military. Great guy, and his son was a hell of a basketball player too. #1 overall dude, and went to Duke. But we have some time. Obviously, eases some of that, and most of those guys won a title the year before.
Yeah.
Now, same thing with Ohio State. Winning back to back kind of puts you in a very elite, rarefied category to be able to do that. Vilma's the only one. However, I think Vern doesn't really talk about it. He doesn't get worked up. DJ Williams would get worked up about it. Philip Buchanan, some of those guys would get worked up about it. But
it was holding, by the way.
Well, but here's the thing, and this was Vilma's argument, and it's 100% true. And it's a very and he's the most rational of all of them, and a great guy. Most of those guys are all good dudes, but very rational. And he goes, "We should have never been in that position.
Right.
We were significantly better than you."
Right, because if they would have called the holding on Chris Gamble on the third down play 3 minutes before that, it would have never went to overtime.
Well, I guess.
That's not what you're talking
If
about.
Maurice doesn't strip the ball coming out, the interception
But
out of the end zone, a lot of stuff in there.
Anybody would look at the two teams and be like, "Listen, if they ran 8 plays on offense. You would have thought about doesn't matter being an offensive coordinator. It was like Tecmo Bowl. You would just pick one of the 4. It's like, oh, Here we go. Run the post to Andre. Nope. Off tackle to Will Smith.
Give it to Willis.
Now we're going to run the drag to
because it worked all the time.
They always work because they just had better players than everyone.
But they didn't realize you guys had 80 NFL players on that.
We did a lot of NFL guys, and we had a really good scheme. And where they weren't quite as good on their offensive line. Yeah. They had obviously Carey, and they had some good. We were really good, and the great D line, as we were just talking about with Miami, can negate a lot of things.
Great equalizer.
And they had never had pressure. Ken Dorsey used to wear that baggy white sweatshirt and T-shirt. That thing never had grass stain on it. You just sit back there. And whoop,
but it's different though. You look at a guy like, now we're just going to go in the Wayback Machine. If you line up against a guy like Tim Anderson, right? You're not going to be like, oh, that's a guy's going to kick my ass right now. But then he did.
But by the end of the game, you're like, this wasn't fun at all because he doesn't stop.
And it was the best game. Kenny Peterson probably played at Ohio State.
Will Smith.
Will Smith, Darian Scott. I mean those guys were beasts.
We had some monsters, man. Monsters. And they got after. We had a scheme, too, that Dino put together that they had never seen. And that's why everybody's like, I don't like the long layoff. I go, dude, you can put in a whole new thing. You got like a training camp. Yeah. We put a whole new package in there.
And then back then it was one team you were playing, so it was like, this is all they do, and we're going to attack this way.
And they didn't. It was wild. I couldn't believe when we were game playing, I'm like, this is really all they run. Like, where's the rest? Where's the rest?
Where's the rest? Where's the rest of the
players? And it's like, well, I guess they just beat their guys every time.
Which they did.
So
until it stopped.
And when you're able to get pressure up front, that negates a lot of things. As we've seen, the knife can cut both ways. When you're the team getting pressure, it helps. When you're the team getting pressure.
And Tress got rid of Dave. He just ran QB power the whole game.
Well, we ran QB Dave.
Yeah, so, QB Dave, just with an extra blocker.
Krenzel threw, I think, for 127 yards in that game.
It may have been less
than that. That was the legendary quarterback performance I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, it may have been less than that. It wasn't good.
And Krenzel, in all fairness to him, he may have lost about a year or two of cognitive health in that game. So I remember him walking over the sideline. I was like, he kind of looks drunk right now.
Yeah, that's one of those games.
He
like,
took a beating.
If that happened in today's football, Craig Krenzel would not have.
He would have made it through like
this.
It would have been Scotty McMullen.
Scotty Mack would have been coming in.
Liddell Ross and Maurice
the old gunslinger from Granville.
But that's, it took a performance like that because. And listen, it wasn't like our offense didn't have some great players. Maurice obviously was really good.
Offensive line was huge.
Michael Jenkins, who's first round draft pick. You had Chris Gamble out there. He had the long catch down the field. Maybe
the most underrated player in the history of Ohio State.
He was the best athlete.
Because Chris doesn't talk ever. Yeah. He literally doesn't.
Quietest dude ever.
Yeah, he lived in the dorms for 2 years. Like, where in the world is that? You have the option to move out? No, I'm going to come on back.
I'm good.
Live in the dorm again.
Get those meals on his card.
I'll never forget when I was going around our freshman year. That was during the break to have I have a football signed by all the guys in our class or that year, and I went down and knocked on Troy's door, and I'd never. You think like you don't really go to guys' rooms all the time, and I'd never been on Troy. He was like 12, I was like 20, and I remember Chris came to the door. I was like, "Oh, he's like, you want me to sign that?" I was like, "Well, actually, no. Like I know that you're a really good player, but this is just." He's like, "Oh, cool, man." I'm like, "Do you live here?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like. Oh, I was like, it's Troy. He's like, yeah, Troy ain't in here. We'll be back. Like, all right. So I came back later.
Yeah, this is really put me.
It was the most unbelievable thing. Like, I'd lived there for 2.5 months, 3 months. It's December now, and I'm like,
I left there when I was like, it was April. Yeah. I think.
As soon as you could get out, everybody would get out, and he chose to live there. Like Maurice, I don't know if ever lived there.
No, Maurice wasn't in the.
And then you have Chris Gamble, who's living there for 2 years. Another South Florida guy, I believe, a Dillard High School guy, if I'm not mistaken.
Fort Lauderdale Dillard.
So. When you talk about the long layoff and the opportunity to plan there, Bob, Birm, you mentioned that you think there's some reason to criticize Miami's coaching staff. If you are as pessimistic as it sounds like, don't you think that Matt Patricia and Ryan Day having all this extra time to focus on Miami, like that should be a decisive advantage for the Buckeyes?
Well, it's not all that extra time to focus on Miami. They didn't know who they were going to play until Saturday. I know they were absolutely preparing for both teams in the last couple of weeks. So how were they splitting that up? I don't know. You probably know that better than me. But how much was that 50-50? Was it 60-40? Was it 70-20?
I don't know.
Plus 10 for someone else.
They didn't really like switch from green jerseys to maroon. Like,
do you know any more numbers?
Miami period and Texas
I don't know math.
But I think a lot of what they were doing is like you can put some stuff together regardless of the team you're playing, especially on offense, because you're like, hey, we got to get some stuff figured out in the red zone.
Yeah. That's not really opponent inclusive.
Yes, it can be agnostic. Like we need to figure out some ways to
change some things, and then we're going to find out how they play those
4
things.
and 17. We could use them in the red zone. That is allowed.
So either they're going to play. There's only a handful.
And 25.
There's only a handful of coverages you play in the red zone, and so like either play some man. There's some bracket concepts.
Not too much you can do, right?
It's like 2 or 3 different things, and it's like okay, well we'll put some stuff in for all of these because maybe we use it this week. Hopefully we get a chance of not to use it the following week should we advance. So I think they did some of that, and then there's some stuff defensively that they were kind of tinkering with and moving on. Like these are some things that have given us trouble. Let's see if we can have some better answers and solutions for that. So I don't know if it's necessary. Like we put in that scheme for Miami, but it wasn't really for Miami. It was just something that like we could put in and put in this new defense, kind of like what we
give them a different view.
The next year of Kansas State, like
sure.
they do this, but this could kind of work against a lot of different people as well.
What would you like to see in the red zone, Justin?
Touchdowns?
Very specific. That's like Ryan
yes,
Day's answer. What do you do with the defensive front? You block it. All right. I guess I'll ask a better question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're onto something, just leaving our playmakers on the field, making that defense realize, like, you got to cover these two. I mean, that could take, Ryan's talked about when Jeremiah's there, that's 2 guys away, and we have another tight end. It should be another gap. Like, well, if you have Carnell out there
and
as
that's
well,
4
maybe
guys
that's
away.
4 guys away, and maybe we can, open up some running lanes that way with Bo in the game when he gets you down inside the 10-yard line. So I'm guessing we won't see a ton of the tight end stuff.
And
I'm sure they will throw something in there just because that's what they've done all year, but maybe a little wrinkle that they've been holding back to really make sure we get the score.
Maybe some cute
Although
runs.
you think maybe they'd have done it last week.
Ryan was asked about, what has he seen in the last couple of weeks? Spencer Holbrook from Letterman Row asked, and Ryan, without saying it, brought up, like, do we have the right packages out there? Do we have the right personnel out there? Like, he knows that there's a problem there. He's not going to just throw it under the bus and say, well, we don't have our best players on the field enough. But clearly,
what would be wrong with saying that?
Well,
because
maybe we went the wrong direction and we had a good plan and we thought it would work, but it didn't. So we want to get our.
I guess I would say there's another factor here that, to be fair, Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith were limited. He actually referenced some of that coming out of the Indiana games. Like they were trying to take some of those snaps away from them to keep them healthy for the duration of the game and to get into the postseason. So maybe it wasn't just that there's a love affair with 14 personnel, but that. Putting both of them on the field for 50 to 60 snaps, they weren't maybe quite ready for that.
Maybe.
You're not stretching the field there. I mean, you're
when you're more likely to get rocked in the end zone too.
Could be grasping.
I mean, look at that catch. Was that
Marvin against Georgia? Think about that hit. You eliminate.
Yeah,
that
but you think about Brandon Ennis getting in. I mean, we can do so much when we're spread out, and you move them. You see man, and I know I have this coming underneath there. Like, I mean, it opens up a lot of stuff.
To me, when you're asking, what do you want to see in the red zone? Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see the offense spread out the defense. I don't. Yeah. This Ohio State offense, and I think this offensive line has been good all year, too, what you said earlier. I think for the most part, when Philip Daniels got back healthy, he elevated himself back. Tagovailoa at the Michigan game was the best he's been in his career, got hurt in that game. I think the offensive line's been good, but I still think you have the best weapons in the country on the outside. Spread them all out. Bo Jackson is a really, really good running back, really great at making the first guy miss. All you need at that point is just to make one guy miss and you're in the end zone. So
as a defender, when you come up to the line of scrimmage and you see the offense all in the box, I mean, does that make you feel a little bit better about, all right, we have a better chance here?
Unless you're facing Joe Burrow?
So, the part of it is
like we made it 3/4 of the show.
You start doing, you do different things. And so, like, they've been preparing and packaging for that. And that's the one thing offensively, like, they had kind of made that such a big part of their red zone and short yardage that now maybe you have some time to experiment and explore with some other things that, like I said, they're kind of scheme agnostic for who you're playing. Like, we can do some of this. Let's see if we can work this. Maybe we do some 13 and just put Jeremiah out there. Maybe we move him around. There's a lot of different things that I was, like, thinking, going back to your senior year where they, Tress runs Teddy out at the wing and, then you do something like that. And you saw in their last year against Notre Dame, the motion with Jeremiah in the backfield. We
didn't see that all year long, but
I'd sure like to see that play again.
Haven't seen Jeremiah in the slot. Haven't seen any of the stuff that, like, can just provide a wrinkle without having to completely overhaul the offense.
And so that's some of the things that, like, this week you probably try to lean into. And so to your point, like, well, now you've been preparing and looking at this the whole time. Well, now if they come out in a different personnel group, and now
this is different.
We didn't really have a lot of this on film, so we don't have a lot of calls to be able to go with that. Because there's certain things like you can't call because, good coaches, you can, But I played for coaches like, well, just if they run this, sometimes you have to openly acknowledge if they get in this and we call it, well, we're screwed. You got to just survive the down. You don't want to say that too often.
Just don't give them the score.
But some coaches will be like,
what's the number? How many times can you say
just
it?
beat them with effort? I'm like, because their guys aren't playing hard.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
Like,
we're in a bad spot, and
I'll tell you that Bill
beat 'em with
Parcells
effort.
was an idiot.
well, there was a coach who may or may not have been coaching the Chicago Bears last year who his line was like, we'll just beat them with effort. We don't have that guy covered.
Hey.
Like, just acknowledge, like, hey, we'd better get there with the rush, and we better hope they don't run this. This is what we're giving up.
That's a Toledo one right there. Watch. Don't talk bad about those guys.
He's a Toledoan?
Yeah.
Gosh, that makes me feel sad because I would like to like him more.
Yeah. Unfortunate. All the things that you guys mentioned, like we've seen, I think some of the solutions already repped by Ohio State, where you mentioned, Bob, quarterback run. If you're looking for extra, help with the blocking, the Bison package, we saw like Justin Terry play some of that in November. Didn't really come back to that. Birm, you talked about.
I want you to get old K-Mac back.
K-Mac
in there.
back
well,
there, yeah.
we
Give me
saw that.
C.J. Donaldson lead blocking for Lincoln Keenholz. I'm good with it.
That play worked very well. Caden McDonald, I thought that was actually a touchdown in the game for C.J. Donaldson when they put him in at fullback. In that same game later on, you saw Brandon Innes and Max Clare putting the Michigan defense in a blender down there in the red zone. Like, all that stuff exists, which I think is what made the Indiana game so maddening. It's like, well, you have all of this available to you.
Yeah.
As soon as it comes back to the game, it's like 11 dudes in the box. Here we go. Like, we know what's going to happen.
They ran that play in practice in the red zone. I was standing behind, and I was yelling. I forget who the safety was, and I saw Claire flexed, and Innes was right behind him, started motioning. I was like, hey, they're running the stack slant back. Please tell me that you recognize this. I saw it twice in the game. I saw the formation. You know it's coming. Like, just be aware of it. But
it's still going to be tough to stop.
You can know it, and unless you're going to dedicate, this is the thing, unless you're going to dedicate 3 guys to it, you have to go 3 over 2 at that point, and that's where the numbers start coming into play. It's really difficult to stop.
Yeah, and if you're that safety, you're like, well, if I go down there and he goes out here, then I'm,
you're guessing.
Exactly.
You're guessing. And so that's why, like, okay, well, you just play both of them and then have a guy play the high. Well, now you're a guy short on Jeremiah, or you're a guy short in the run, or whatever you want to do. There's different ways to be able to do that.
All right, so we are getting.
So they already have an answer.
They have the answer.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
Just got to pull it out of your hat.
That's right. We're getting ready to head down to Texas. Can't wait to get down to the Lone Star State. Hopefully Nicole's foot is feeling better by that point.
Miss you guys next week.
Yeah, so
I'm just going to come in here and sit on Monday by myself.
You please do. Also, I think we'll probably be doing a show in Texas.
They'll be here,
on Tuesday.
We will do something in Dallas on Tuesday.
Yeah, so Bob will be down there. We're trying to figure that out.
Well, I'm trying to figure out when you're going to do it. So I'm when is the game? Is it Thursday?
Wednesday.
The game's Wednesday. So you want to do something on Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay, day before. All right. Well, then that's good. I'll be down there like 1:30.
We won't be able to do Monday. We have a full team meeting.
Okay,
today.
so that's good. Well, then that makes it easier for me. I don't change my flight.
But Justin, you have to give your score prediction now because we won't be talking to you next
that's
week.
right.
I know. Sorry, you're on the spot.
Justin said for Christmas he'd like to give more of himself to Pastor Phil.
27-13.
That's all. Just gonna no-sell that and give us a score. Fair enough. I respect
27-13.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh,
That's an offensive outburst by the Hurricanes.
Carson Beck. We are scoring 27.
Gotcha.
Nobody has scored more than 16 points.
Oh, well, they got 13 last week.
Nobody has scored more than 16 points against the Buckeyes this year.
I don't see it happening, but I guess we'll figure that out as we get down.
Hey, before we get to Dallas, can you get on the horn with good old Rossi B over there and make sure he gets that contract extigi over to Matty P?
I think
was any of that English?
Oh, right. Okay. I followed. At the end, yes.
I think they're getting that taken care of. I don't think there's a desire for Matt Patricia to leave here after 1 year. And I think
he enjoys it here. I think he
likes
it
every week from now on. Let's get that done. That needs to be finished.
Well, didn't we do that 1 year with the coordinator and then he left anyway?
The coaching carousel is not even close to over. Michigan still has to be filled. Marcus is going to lead for the Giants.
I heard Michigan
Notre Dame's
going
to be open.
I heard
Michigan was shutting down their football program. They're not going to hire a coach.
That Marcus to the Giants.
It's not real.
Well, I'm not saying that it's not real. They may be interested.
Do you know how much money Jim Harbaugh makes a year for the Chargers? $16 million a year. Wow.
That's great.
So I'm saying if someone wants to pay Marcus Freeman that amount of scratch,
I bet he's.
Do
you know what Jim Harbaugh actually was? An NFL coach.
Here's the thing.
I think and he went to a Super Bowl, didn't he?
Marcus Freeman strikes me a lot more Jim Tressel than Jim Harbaugh. If we're going to break down the Jims, and I don't know that his Here's the other thing, and this goes back to Fickell, and we can talk about maybe making the right move, the wrong move, whatever. I don't know if there was an amount of money that would have convinced Amy Fickell that living in Southern California was where she should be. And I mean, that's real. And like, I don't know, the situation,
Marcus is a great coach, but that guy likes to be in commercials. Welcome to New York City.
He likes his healthy food.
I've lost control just as we were trying to wrap up.
This one's over.
Wrap up the live show brought to you by Tansky Power Sports and Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. Have a happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you all.
Happiest Christmas. It's in Bing Crosby, tap dance.
And hopefully Nicole Cox will be feeling much better and can join us down there in Dallas. Looking forward to the Cotton Bowl, Ohio State and Miami. Thanks to Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, and Jeremy Birmingham. I am Austin Ward. We will see you after Christmas, folks. So long.